In this video, I'm just showing you the airport when I arrived at Fairbanks at 1 in the morning, and the hotel we stayed at, Pike's Lodge. It was about 5 minutes from the airport. They picked us up with a shuttle bus at 1 a.m. in the morning, and it was really a nice welcome arriving in Fairbanks and in Alaska. The lodge was very nice, so I would recommend this lodge. Anyone who's been following my previous videos knows that I've been living in Europe the past 32 years, and I decided to come back home. I chose Alaska because it was the most similar place compared to where I was living in Europe. Now, to give some perspective on getting to Alaska, I left from Virginia, and flying from Virginia to Fairbanks took me 2 hours longer than flying from Europe to the US. So everybody knows, everyone always says Alaska is difficult to get to and difficult to get out of. And I wouldn't really say that because it may take longer to get to than most places you're going to want to fly to. But regarding cost, if you come to Alaska during the off-season and you fly in the evening, it's pretty cheap. It cost me $300 for a one-way ticket. And as far as work in Alaska, we drove 1,200 miles, visited about 50 landmarks and cities, and drove from Fairbanks down to Whittier, back up to Palmer, and then across the interior to Glen Allen, and then over the Thompson Pass to Valdez. In almost every town, city, even some of the little villages, there were help wanted signs, whether it was at grocery stores, gas stations, liquor stores, you name it, there was pretty much a job everywhere for anyone. So I think that many people exaggerate how difficult it is to get started in Alaska, how difficult it is to get here, how hard it is to get away. I'm just trying to tell the truth without making any exaggerations and making things seem like it's much scarier than it should be. Now, what I'm also doing in my videos is I realize that most YouTubers are moving to Alaska and they're really extreme. They're coming here to live off grid. Most people, I don't think, want to do that. Many people who come to Alaska, they don't want to live without running water, without, the necessities that you're used to. So I'm doing what I think many people want to do who want to come to Alaska, and I'm just trying to show that it's not as hard as many YouTube channels make it seem. And what I'm also not doing is I'm not showing the best parts of every town or, trying to make things seem better than they are. If I visit some towns, I do try to get footage of the surrounding area, not necessarily in the center of town. Now, most of the small towns and villages we went to really don't have a center. There might be 1 or 2 stores. In that case, I take the footage from that area. But when we go to certain places that are a little more remote, it's mostly just forest, and people are living all spread out behind the trees. So you're not going to be able to drive up unless you drive down all these dirt roads to go to each house individually. So what I did is I just took footage from the surrounding area, and if you happen to want to move to, for example, Ninilchik, I gave you a general idea from the footage where you would be living, what you would be seeing, which was basically forest. And the last thing I want to add is that before I came to Alaska, I had already decided where I'm going to spend my first winter. And I did choose Valdez because I wanted to spend my first winter in the snowiest city in the U.S. I knew that costs were a bit higher here, groceries, rent, but it was just something I wanted to do. I wanted to spend one winter in the snowiest city in the U.S. So I am staying in Valdez until the spring of 2024. And at that time, I'm going to go to another part of Alaska that I prefer to be year-round.